Welcome to News West 9's West Texas View with Johnny Lou Avery.
Last Sunday we introduced to you a very serious topic. We're talking about mental health illnesses and how it affects a community, a family, an individual. And our special guest is Heather McKenzie, who is a mental health advocate. But more importantly, she is a mom with a son who has a severe mental illness. And so she sees it from the inside, but she also sees it from the community. She sees it from the family level. And Heather, I know you had vocations, but this has become your vocation.
Yes.
This has become your passion and your ministry. And I want you to tell how when you discovered that your son, who up to that time had been so normal,
yes,
and had been an honor student, a very gifted student, a very creative, an imaginative kind of individual, and all of a sudden, after he graduated from high school, he developed this mental illness. And how did that affect the whole family? First of all, I would think they'd think, what's going on?
Oh, they were very confused. They were frightened. You know, we have a pretty wide range. I have 4 children. My youngest
And he was the oldest?
He was the oldest, and my youngest is 6. I have 2 daughters, one in high school, one that's now at West Texas A&M, pursuing a music therapy degree. And I often think maybe due to her brother's illness, that stroked her interest in, you know, the field of music therapy. But it was detrimental. It was a very hard time. He was very disruptive in our home. He was very confused. We were going to the hospital.
And up to that time, he had not been disruptive.
Up to that time,
He'd
he
been
was
almost a perfect
He
child.
was a good brother, a good son. He was your normal teenager, but he was a good boy. And this was all-consuming when he became ill.
And plus the fact, what did it do to him? Because he didn't know what was going on.
Oh, it is more than gut-wrenching to watch someone that you love lose their mind. Literally not know what's real, what's not real, seeing things, hearing things, feeling things. He thought that we were all going to die. He thought that people were coming after us. He never slept. I mean, it was chaotic. And we actually had to remove him from our home at one point because you have to find that balance. You have to protect and guide your other children while protecting and guiding your severely sick child. And the only way that we could do that safely was to find him a safe environment that I could care for him in, that kind of removed him from the home.
Which broke your heart and his
Absolutely.
siblings' heart, but you had to be practical.
You have to look at this illness with truly open eyes. And I belong to a group called Treatment Before Tragedy. And this group advocates for us to gain treatment before tragedy. Right now, the system we have in place wants us to have a tragedy before we can gain treatment. And that is not working. We can look at the headlines today. Let's look at Amanda Bynes. The situation that she's in is gut-wrenching to me. This family is doing everything they can to get her treatment, and she's asleep on the mall couch because she can leave the treatment facility and she doesn't have to take treatment because, you know, that's forcing someone into treatment. Well, when you are that ill, there is a difference. If I was that sick, I would want someone to help me. I would not want them to turn their back on me and say, we're sorry, you don't want help, you don't have to take help. Again, we don't do that with Alzheimer's. We don't do that with cancer.
Right.
just don't do that.
And especially with somebody who doesn't really not have control of their mental capacity. Someone with cancer might have the ability to say, I don't want chemo.
Yes.
But it's because they've thought it through. But another thing is we've just gone through a series, again, of school shootings.
Absolutely.
And these are always, in hindsight, we see that these were students who needed help.
Mental health
And
intervention.
we
Absolutely.
ignored it, or we had our
ignored it.
head in the sand, or we were ignorant.
Or they went for treatment and were released too early. We've had, 3 or 4 White House jumpers that jumped the fence, and every one of them have had mental illness in common. Every school shooter that you look at, there is some facet of mental illness treatment that has not been followed through or just been released from treatment. Again, with Robin Williams, he had just left a treatment facility. What we have now are their crisis centers. So they get them out of crisis and then they release them.
And then push them out as quickly as they can
3
because
days.
they've got some more coming in, or they don't have any funding.
And none of the beds, they've shut down almost every psychiatric bed. We need to get those beds opened back up.
And so what you're saying essentially is we've got to have more advocacy. We've got to have more education and awareness.
And if the institutions are broken, fix the institutions. Don't throw them out on the street and put them in a jail and expect the jail to become the new institution. Then that's still not working. We're still institutionalizing them and not getting them the help that they need.
Just in a more unhealthy environment.
Absolutely.
And again, with teaching parents and families first, then that can have a ripple effect. We're going to have to take a break, and we'll be back in just a minute and continue this conversation. I hope you're finding it as interesting and enlightening as I am. See you in just a minute.
Stay tuned. West Texas View will be right back.